In Rocket League, we've naturally been taught that when an opponent challenges the ball, the best way to score is to hit the ball around them. What if I told you that we don't need to hit the ball at all? My name's Coach Gingy, and in today's Rocket League lesson, I'm going to teach you the easiest way to score goals and make your opponents look silly with fakes. Before we learn the different styles of faking, we need to get our hands warmed up for today's lesson. If you haven't seen my previous video on dribbling, make sure to pause here and watch that first, as we will use key aspects mentioned from that video. To warm up, let's hop into free play. Dribble the ball around the field in 2-minute intervals. Attempt not to let the ball touch the ground or any walls during this warm-up. Once you've successfully completed 3 of these intervals, you can move on with the video. Faking is a skill used in Rocket League to make your opponent think that you're doing one thing, but then you do something else. Typically, when attempting fakes, you need to give off the illusion that you're going to be an immediate threat to the opponents, and then simply not touch the ball in the way that they think you will. There are numerous ways to utilize this mechanic in-game, such as faking a flick, faking a pass, or even faking a small touch on the ball. Let's break down the 2 most effective ways to fake out your opponents. Faking a flick. To successfully fake a flick, you need to let the opponents know that your flicks are a threat. By getting a good flick over one of your opponents, you tell them that your flicks can be deadly, even if that last one didn't score. Once you've shown off your flicking capabilities, you can now attempt a fake. What I like to do is drive diagonally towards the enemy's net, and then right as they jump to challenge the ball, I let the ball roll off of my car onto the ground, leaving an empty net. You can also get creative with this mechanic. For example, if you begin your fake earlier than you normally would and you single jump, you might be able to bait the opponent into jumping with you. Once your opponent jumps, just never flick the ball. Let it roll under their car and leave them wondering why they even queued a game. This version of faking is so much more difficult, as you need to keep the ball glued to your car even when you're jumping. If you don't, well, bad things might happen and you might actually concede instead of score. Faking a pass or a shot. Faking a pass or a shot can be extremely threatening if you have possession over the ball while it's on the ground. The same thing applies for this concept. You need to show that your shots and or passes are a threat before the opponents will fall for it. As opposed to the last step, normally for this fake, I will drive the ball pretty much in a straight line, just a little off-centered from the goal. Once the opponent prepares the challenge from the middle of the field, I turn my car just a little bit to make it look like I'm about to shoot, and then I turn my car back away from the ball and watch my opponent fly to Mars. Since the ways to fake your opponent will vary from each game, there's no one particular way to actively train them with a training pack or a workshop map. To practice these mechanics, simply load into free play and practice as if you were in a real game. The only way to really fool your opponents is by making your gameplay seem threatening, so practice actually flicking and shooting the ball, and then practice different ways of faking these mechanics. Once you feel comfortable with these mechanics in free play, you should take your new skill into online matches. Queue up 5 to 10 casual 2v2 games, as it gives you the best balance between space on the field and types of fakes possible. Remember to use the real mechanics such as flicking or shooting first, and then attempt to use a fake later on in the game. I want you to attempt at least 1 fake per game, but no more than 3, as your opponent will realize that you're trying to fake a lot and will easily counter you. This skill is extremely viable in moderation, but can't be used frequently to get the full effect. Now that your opponents are getting faked left and right, we've reached the conclusion of today's Rocket League lesson. Make sure to tune in next week to learn our next mechanic, flip cancels. My name's Coach Gingy, and I'll see you all next time.